acting legend Warwick Davis.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon, Warwick. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
As explained, I'll start off with a few one-on-one questions.
Absolutely.
I believe this is not your first time in Belgium. What do you think about Belgium?
It's very nice. I've only been here for about 12 hours, so I don't know much about it at this point.
All right.
I've eaten a lot of chocolate, that's all I know.
And tonight some beer, maybe?
Is that what Belgium's famous for?
Yes, there's about 500 different beers in Belgium, so
beer, chocolate.
Yeah.
Why is everyone not just massive?
We're European, so yeah. You know that in the UK there's a drinking game which is called Name 3 Famous Belgians, implying that there are no famous Belgians. Can you name 3 famous Belgians?
None. Are there any?
Yes.
I mean, there must be an inventor or somebody who's in medical work.
Well, the 2 previous guests started with Tintin, the comic character. Then there's obviously the painter, René Magritte, the surrealistic painter. And then, if you ever played the saxophone, that was actually invented by a Belgian, Adolf Sax. So these are usually the 3 famous Belgians. I'll ask you the same question tomorrow, so you can prepare
Thank you.
tonight. Obviously, you're an actor. What's one perk of being an actor?
I mean, the gift of entertaining people is something you can't replace. To be able to go on a stage and make people laugh, make them cry, or on television or film, I mean, that's a wonderful gift to be given, and it's a great career. So that's the perk. You can always get a table at a restaurant, that's another perk.
And what would be the most unexpected thing about being an actor?
Unexpected thing. I think people think it's a very glamorous business, red carpet, champagne, premieres, but that's really the tip of the iceberg, a small part of what I do. You know, most of it is working in quite difficult conditions, you know, filming through the night in poor weather. So yes, it's quite grueling at times and quite physically demanding. So that's probably what people don't realise. You know, when they're sitting at home or in the cinema watching the films that I do, you know, they're comfortable and warm, but they should spare a thought for the actors, because sometimes it's very challenging.
What do you consider more difficult? To cry on cue, to laugh on cue, or maybe express another emotion?
I mean, laughing's always quite hard, because if you haven't got anything really to laugh at, it doesn't sound very natural. Crying's a bit easier, I think, as a performer. But yeah, laughing can sound either sarcastic or fake if you don't do it very well. So I always admire an actor who can laugh on camera and make it sound convincing.
Now, if you wouldn't have been an actor, what would you have liked to become?
I enjoy like graphic design, art, that sort of thing. My daughter actually, Annabelle, she's a brilliant artist and has kind of inherited that, not ability, because I'm a useless artist, but she can draw and paint in any medium really well.
Imagine anybody in the audience would like to be an actor. What tip would you give them?
Don't. No, I would say, you know, you've got to go into acting for the right reasons. Those reasons should be that you love performing, you love to entertain people, and you enjoy creating characters and helping people to be transported to another place. But you shouldn't go into it for the fame or for the money. Those things should come if you're good at what you do.
If you could have chosen any role that has been played by anybody in the whole history of movies, which one would you have liked to play?
Oh my gosh. Anything at all.
Anything.
I mean, I think Indiana Jones is a good character. But not sure I could wield the whip. Hat might be a bit big. Also, I think Alan Rickman's Snape was a great character in Harry Potter. I'd have liked to have played him.
You know that there is a moment, or there's an anecdote about Ian McKellen filming The Hobbit, surrounded by green screens, and he broke down saying, I did not study to become an actor, to be surrounded by green screens. What do you prefer, green screens or real life special effects?
But that's the sort of world that we work in, you know, in special effects movies. There was a scene in The Phantom Menace where I was in a similar position. I was placed in the middle of a green screen studio and had to imagine there was a creature called an EOP lumbering up to me, then grab the reins, which didn't exist either, and then pull the creature along. All of it had to be in my head. And then ILM afterwards, thank goodness, put everything in and made it look real. See, as actors, you have to go back to being a child again and imagine that you're seeing the things you're seeing. That's the acting that we're in today, you know, where everything is CG. But fortunately now, some films are actually going into creating sets again. They're not taking these shortcuts and painting everything in afterwards. So, you know, for example, on Harry Potter, a lot of the sets actually existed, and they just sort of filled in the gaps with special effects.
You've been active over like 4 decades now. What's like the biggest change you've seen in the movie industry in those 40 years?
Well, it's really been the sort of increase in the use of computer technology in films. I mean, the first time I experienced it was in Willow for the transformation of Finn Rizal at the end of the movie. But now it's sort of everywhere, and they can kind of, whatever a writer can imagine in his head, he can now put on screen very easily. So yeah, it's transformed the industry totally. Almost scarily so, you know. As actors, we can be made to look like we're actually doing anything. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. But what's weird as well, you know, when you're working on a project, you know, you can put in your head what you might be seeing and where you are, but it's only at the premiere, when you see the film for the first time, you realise quite how cool it really looks.
How different is what you see on screen, what it becomes from what you imagined? Is it close, or sometimes you go like, wow, this is like completely different from what I imagined?
Well, being a filmmaker myself, I kind of am able to imagine, envisage what is being seen a little bit better than I might be able to, than any other actor can. But yes, it's pretty impressive more often than not. You know, the whole sequence at the end of Deathly Hallows Part 2, where we're going to the vault on the kind of cart as goblins. You know, that was a real kind of device. It was actually a cart on a gimbal, so it's a bit like a theme park ride, you know, so we were sort of rocking around on this thing, sort of imagining we were flying through the vaults. But yeah, the only bit that was unfortunately real was the waterfall that we went through. There had to be real water. I mean, they enhanced it with CG, but we did get wet, and it was cold.
You're famous. Fame, love it or hate it?
Well, as I said, kind of, as an actor, you shouldn't go into the business to be famous. It's a result of you being successful at what you do and people enjoying what you do. I wouldn't say I enjoy being famous. I mean, it's nice to have the recognition and accolade from people, because it makes all the hard work worthwhile when someone says, you know, I loved you in that movie, I grew up watching it, then you feel old. So yes, it's lovely, but I didn't start this journey to be famous. It's kind of just what happened along the way. But it's very flattering.
Just between us, did you ever use your fame to obtain like a table in a fully booked restaurant?
Well, I've never said these words that some actors say. Do you know who I am? I don't think I've ever said that, except to my wife.
You created an agency.
That's right, yeah.
Willow Agency, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, yeah.
Can you tell us something about that?
Well, the ethos of the agency was to represent short actors and give them the opportunities that I'd had in my career. The chance to play good characters, and also we represent actors over 7 feet tall as well. Yeah, it's something I started with my father-in-law, Peter, who's an actor, in 1995, so it's been around a while. And now my daughter Annabelle actually runs the agency, and so we place people in projects like Harry Potter, Star Wars, and it's very rewarding to be able to say to somebody, you know, that audition you went for, you got the part, and that can then change their lives.
You mentioned your daughter a few times. How has fatherhood changed you?
It makes you see the world through different eyes. I've got a son and a daughter. And as they're growing up, you take them to Disney World and things, and you enjoy it in a different way because you see their wonder and how much they're enjoying themselves. It's the same when you watch movies and TV shows with kids. You kind of see them through their eyes. And that's when I stopped acting in horror movies at that point when I got kids, because I realised that they're not the sort of things I want them watching. Although my son has caught up on all the Leprechaun movies recently. I mean, he is 20 now, but I'm kind of a hero of his now for being in those. Yes, he is slightly odd. So yeah, it's having kids is a great experience. It makes you see the world in a different way, and also it makes you look after the planet. Think about what you're doing, because at the end of the day, you're handing that over to your kids in the future, and you want to make sure it's still here for them. Otherwise, they'll just be floating around in a big vacuum.
Can you tell us something about yourself that few people know?
Oh gosh.
Can be anything, anecdotes, quirk.
Something about me that nobody will know. I thought I'd answered this before somewhere, but I can't remember what I said. I prefer waking up early. I don't like doing anything, but I like to be awake. That's quite nice. I enjoy gardening. I work a lot, so pretty much my entire life is taken up working, traveling, that sort of thing. What else might you not know? You do know.
Well, that's a lot of tidbits already.
Not much there. I might come up with something else in a minute. I'll throw it out there.
For tomorrow. One final question for me before we go to the audience. If you were to interview yourself, what question would you ask yourself?
I would say, what motivates you to do what you do? What keeps you coming back to acting? Why haven't you retired yet?
Why haven't you retired yet?
Well, I kind of ask myself that every day. Because I don't think you can as an actor. You keep being offered different roles, opportunities, and to kind of start saying no to them is against everything you've done throughout your career. Because you've always been like, yes, I'll do that job, I'll do that one. Because you wonder if any chances are going to come around again. If you turn a job down, you might never get another one. Especially when you start out in acting early on, you have to accept every role. It's only when you become more successful you can start going, no, I don't like this script, I'm going to do something else. Fortunately for me, I'm at that stage in my career, so yeah, to retire now would be kind of like having to say no to things. And those things might be brilliant. They might be the ones that bring the awards, which I've never won.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's your turn. Don't be shy. Warwick,
just to clarify, if I mentioned any names of any characters' projects there, please don't watch them or, collect anything to do with them. I'm not promoting anything.
All right, who's first? Lady in the middle, can somebody bring other? Yeah, lady in the middle, the microphone. Go ahead, ask your question.
Right. Talking about strike and the importance of each job in the industry, can you share an anecdote of living all together on a set when the light is on and off?
So you mean sort of backstage and in front of the camera?
The importance of the family during a project.
I mean, yeah, it's very important that the cast and crew will get along. And you tend to as well. Because you're all thrown together to create this project, and you go through some very difficult times, so everyone gets very close and helps each other to kind of weather the storm, if you like. Now, it's particularly the case on Harry Potter, which was, that film about the magician. I'm not going to mention what it's called. But yeah, that was a very long, long project. It went on for 11 years. So we all became close, and at the end, it was very sad. I remember being there for the last day, doing the very last shot. And Rupert Grint, who collects strange things. He had an ice cream van and came and started making ice creams for everyone. So picture this, you've got him and Emma Watson inside this van, sort of pulling the lever to make the ice cream, but it was coming out as liquid. It wasn't even frozen as ice cream, so that was a disaster, but it was made a fun sort of end to the shoot, so nobody could be sad. But a lot of those, younger actors have actually grown up, on that movie, on all those movies. They didn't know anything else about life, really. They knew the school at the studios, and that was kind of it. So yeah, we were very close, if that answers your question.
All right, the person in the back, go ahead.
Hi, what's your favorite movie to look at?
Favourite movie? Again, I'm not promoting these, don't watch them. I'm not in them. So favourite movie, and not ones I've been in, Muppets Christmas Carol. I love that. Also Planes, Trains and Automobiles, because one of my favourite actors is John Candy. Also love the Fletch movies, any of the Anchorman with Will Ferrell. So there you go, not a very sophisticated list, is it?
Right, go ahead.
Hello.
On the left.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi. I was wondering, what was the most difficult thing you ever had to learn? And what was the most scary thing you ever had to do in a movie?
So things I had to learn. Well, I don't enjoy being on horses. They're very large and unpredictable. So yeah, whenever I have to work with horses, I don't enjoy it very much. Scary things for me, in Harry Potter, when we had to fall off the cart, we had to sort of straight kind of, it's a bit like Mission Impossible, where you're kind of horizontal and they drop you. And they literally dropped me from the height of this roof and stopped me inches before the floor. So you see the floor rushing up, and then you just, fingers crossed it's going to stop, otherwise you're going to look very different at the end of it. So that was pretty heart-stopping. Also, the work I did on a series called Idiot Abroad, where I had to jump off the Macau Tower in Macau, which is 750 feet high. So yeah, that was pretty scary as well. But I did it all for your entertainment. Thank you.
Thank you. Person on the right.
Hello. First of all, Warwick, huge fan. Thank you so much for being a part of all the movies that you are. A question I've always had, ever since I thought about it, is since you are familiar with a franchise from a galaxy far, far away,
Well, that's very good.
Yeah, I thought about
None of us know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I thought about it. I always wonder, is there a group chat with you and all the other actors that play within that galaxy? And do you just talk about stuff?
The only kind of group chats we have are actually in person. At events like this, we kind of see each other again and go, oh, how you doing? That kind of thing. But we don't have any WhatsApp groups, kind of Star Wars WhatsApp groups. I imagine that's what you're implying, aren't you? But yeah, we like seeing each other at conventions and stuff. That's always very nice. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Person in the back.
Well, good afternoon. You spoke before about saying no to some characters.
Yes. Are you up there? Sorry, the lights are quite bright, yeah.
You spoke before about saying no to certain characters at this stage in your career, and I wonder what makes you select a character at this stage, considering how many different characters you have had since so many years that you have acted, yeah, what makes a character challenging now, considering your history? Thank you.
Well, when you get to 53, your kind of selection process is very different. You look at it, how physical is the role going to be? Is it going to be cold? That's really how I select roles now. I look at the conditions we're going to work in, because the old joints and bones hurt a bit now. So I'll pick roles that seem to be easy, nice and warm, that kind of thing. Where we don't have to fly too far around the world. So something in the Maldives would be very nice, nice and warm. But yeah, when I was younger, I'd just take on anything, really. Anything that came along, I'd be there. Doing my own stunts, that kind of thing. Now I'm going, no, let someone else do it. I'm too valuable.
Person in the middle, go ahead. Straight down the middle. microphone. Technical glitch.
So you can actually throw that microphone around, can you?
Now it works.
Is it working?
Hi, good afternoon, sir. A question I have for you is that have you ever been stuck in any sort of like a creative rut? And what kind of advice would you give to those who are in a similar situation and looking for a way out of it, maybe?
Say stuck in a creative rut.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, as an actor, you don't usually get stuck. You wonder, how do I say this line? But give it enough thought and work, you can come up with it. Talk to the director. But normally when I'm writing, I get kind of stuck. But a very famous writer once said to me, whenever he can't come up with any kind of ideas, he lays face down on the floor with his nose in the carpet. And then he has kind of a light bulb moment and comes up with a solution of what he needs to write. So yeah, writing for me is one of the hardest things. You get creatively stuck. But performing, no.
Right, person in the back.
Do you like sport?
No. I mean, I used to try a lot of sport at school, but I was, often too short to participate properly. Unfortunately, at school, my school football kit was black and white, and people would mistake me for the ball. Spent a lot of time running away from the other players.
All right, next question. Lady in the front.
Just to finish that question, my favourite sport is the hurdles, or as I like to call them, the limbo. I see these jokes actually translate. It's cool. Okay, you're next with the square ball microphone.
Hi, you mentioned your agency a bit earlier, your Willow agency.
Yeah.
What's your take on diverse casting in general?
Say that one more time.
What's your take on diverse casting in general, like different ethnicities, people
I think
with
it's important. I
disabilities?
mean, it's particularly pertinent at the moment because my daughter Annabelle, who I've mentioned a few times, she's an actor as well. She just started a tour of a play called The Elephant Man in the UK, and the cast is entirely made up of disabled performers. And it's really brilliant to see them all in the show and doing such a great job. And the show is absolutely mesmerising. I've seen it twice in a week, and it's one of the best pieces of theatre I've seen. So yeah, I think it's very important to have diverse casting.
Right, person to the right.
My daughter had a question about, is there a scene which we might have hated doing, but I want to open it up. Is there even a part you might regret?
Is there a scene
You hated doing?
You hated
I
doing.
didn't like doing? Okay.
Yes.
In anything I've done, a scene I didn't like doing. If you saw the series about me as a sorcerer on Disney Plus, or that streaming channel by the mouse, should we say that? There was a scene in that, or in a whole entire episode that took place in the rain. But it wasn't real rain, it was fake rain, which is actually colder than real rain. So 5 minutes or like a couple of minutes before they said action, they would start the rain, so we get nice and wet, ready for the shot. And just to stand there and be nice and warm 1 minute, and then sort of soaking wet, and then have to act. So that, I wouldn't like to do any of that again. That whole episode was brutal, and you just kind of wonder at that point, why am I doing this? Why am I an actor?
All right, person to the complete left.
Hello. Is there anything you have ever learned from a director, as an actor, to improve your acting?
I mean, you should learn from every director as an actor, really. I mean, one of the best for me was Ron Howard, who directed the project of Me as a Wizard, or Sorcerer, shall I say. Ron directed Willow in '87, and having been an actor himself, he really knows how to talk to actors and give them very specific direction. So I learned a lot from him. And also David Yates, who directed the film about the boy wizard. He was fantastic to work with as well. He's very quiet, he never shouts, he just comes over, whispers a few words, just a few key words to you as an actor, and that's kind of all you need to have in your mind as you're performing the scene.
All right, person to the right.
Hi. At what age did you start your acting career?
I started acting when I was 11, and that was in the Space Saga, where I played a teddy bear.
I think you can say the name of the series.
Yeah, we've blown it by now, I could say it. Return of the Jedi.
Hello.
Hello.
Did you ever take a prop home from a set of a movie?
Say that one more time, please.
Did you ever take a prop home from a movie or a series or something?
Why would I tell you now? I'd incriminate myself. But I do have a couple of things. I have some teddy bear toes. Space teddy bear toes. I don't know why I've got them, just 3 toes. It's really weird. They're in a drawer at home. I also have the wand from Willow as well in my office from the movie. What else do I have? I have a Gringotts galleon, a real one from the first film. Again, my daughter was given that, and she passed it on to me, so it wasn't stolen. I've never stolen anything. And so they're the props I have. I would like my Professor Flitwick wand to go with my Willow wand, but nonetheless, they didn't give me one.
Go ahead, to the right.
What is your favorite spell in Harry Potter?
Sorry, say that again?
Your favorite spell in Harry Potter?
My favorite spell?
And the Boy Wizard, sorry.
That one, yes indeed. But of course, what's your name?
Maelia.
Nadia.
Maelia.
Maelia.
Okay, welcome. Would you like to do a charms class now? So, take your wand here and show me the nice swish and flick. Swish and flick. Come along then. Come along. Very good. And now for the charm. Wingardium Leviosa. And again, Wingardium Leviosa. Splendid. Give her a round of applause. Well done. See, that is my favourite one. In fact, it's a spell I would like in real life, because to levitate would be very useful, to be able to reach stuff.
All right, next question. All the way up to the left.
What is your favorite movie you played in?
I think it's probably Star Wars, because it's the one that started everything for me. You know, without Star Wars, I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't have the career I've had. So yeah, I look back at that very fondly, and having been a Star Wars fan at the time, you know, it was absolutely amazing to be 11 years old and face to face with a stormtrooper, or should I say face to groin with a stormtrooper. It was fabulous.
All right, any further questions? Yes, to the left. And to the right. To the left. No, whatever. Run.
Now you could ask a question.
Hi, do you have a funny memories you had with fans at Comic-Con you would like to share?
Any fond memories of Comic-Cons?
Yes.
I mean, it's usually meeting the fans, such as yourselves. You know, seeing the wonderful cosplays, that kind of thing. I mean, I've seen some amazing cosplays. One of them was I think at a Star Wars celebration, was actually a Wicket the Ewok with a Princess Leia riding on his shoulders. And it's hard to imagine, isn't it? But it looked incredible. So basically, I think it was the lady's legs went down through the Ewok suit, and then her top half was Princess Leia in the speeder bike outfit, and then fake legs over the shoulders of the Ewok, and it looked amazing. I mean, look at the internet, you might be able to find it. You might find some other weird stuff as well, but type in Leia riding Ewok. No, actually, don't type that.
Right, the lady to the right.
Hi. What was the most difficult thing for you to do emotionally or physically in a movie or just acting?
So what was the hardest thing to do physically and emotionally?
Yes.
It's difficult, man. I don't know what to say. I mean, physically, when you have to learn a skill as an actor, you know, for example, learn a sword fight, because it's choreography really. So it's learning moves like you learn a dance, but with swords it's a little more dangerous. If you go wrong, you're going to hurt someone. if you dance wrong, it's not going to hurt anyone except you. So yeah, learning choreographs, sort of sword fights, they're quite hard. But yeah, I mean, a lot of the stuff I've done, like particularly in Leprechaun and those movies, has anyone seen those?
Yes.
You all look quite normal, so I shouldn't imagine you have. But yeah, physical-wise on Leprechaun, I kind of got hurt quite a bit doing stuff, jumping. You know, we worked a lot with kind of weapons. There were a lot of fights. So yeah, you do have to be careful, watch out for yourself. But you're hoping there's a stunt coordinator looking out for you as well, making sure you're safe. So yeah, that was probably some of the most challenging work. And also, for me, working under prosthetics, I've done a lot of that sort of work, and it's quite difficult. You know, imagine being glued into like silicone rubber. You can't really eat properly during the day, and it's very heavy and itchy as well. So that's some of the hardest work I've done. And also, I think playing a droid in Star Wars, as I did in Solo, I played several different droids in that film. And those costumes are so heavy as well. So you've got to lift them up and then give a performance while you're kind of managing something that weighs as much as you do. You know, that is indeed quite challenging, but nonetheless, I still enjoyed it. Because even when you do a character like a droid, you still have to think like a droid. You can't just move it around. You have to think, what would the droid be kind of processing at this point? And that determines then how you move and what you do.
All right, Warwick, final question of the day. To the left.
Yes. Hello. So we all know you played Flitwick, which is a Hogwarts director. But as Warwick Davis, which house are you actually?
Which house am I?
Yes.
Well, I went on the Pottermore website years ago when it first launched and was sorted into Slytherin for some reason. So that's good as them. I never saw myself in that way, but Pottermore apparently did. Thank you for that question, thank you. Thank you for all your questions.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Warwick!